Gautama Buddha, about 600 BC. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. My father was the king of Nepal. My mother died giving me birth under a tree on her way home. It was considered a miracle by most that I survived. I was a very sensitive child. My father warned that I should not venture outside the palace because I would be devastated by all the suffering I would see. All my life I was shielded from human misery. At age 30, I saw suffering for the first time. It gave me nightmares, and I could not find inner peace. I tried everything to ease my deep sufferings. I went to wise men who claimed that the mind must be purified by fasting, self-denial, and self-torture. They claimed that suffering is punishment for sins. So I left my family and went far away to live a solitary life, teaching to clean my soul of my sins. But despite following this cleansing ritual, I felt worse than before. I came to believe that suffering was caused by people confusing their wants with their needs. I had everything and wanted nothing but inner peace. And there were poor, sick men who had nothing and needed everything. Through meditation, I saw that we would all suffer less if we accepted what we were given by God and not to want anything else. Believing what we are given is what we really need. I came to see suffering as the inevitable consequence of greed, and the best way to ease inner suffering was to live a lifestyle of not wanting what you don't need. It was easy for me as I had everything I needed. I spent a lifetime trying to find means of achieving inner peace on demand. I found a very simple technique. I called it meditation. It was like sleep without sleeping, where afterwards your mind is clear and fresh and could deal with all daily sufferings, physical and mental. I found a lotus position that helped me empty my mind of all worries and reach meditative states so peaceful that people thought I was dead. My muscles hardened like ice and my heart softened like water, and I felt no pain. I was invincible to temptation and to pain. This behavior greatly impressed all those who witnessed my meditations. Soon I had a group of followers who regarded me as a god. I preached that suffering is an inherent part of existence and that the origin of suffering is greed. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC. All men by nature desire knowledge. There was a call to reincarnate into a wealthy family with close contacts to the best philosophers in the land. The quest for knowledge reached a peak. A new breed of men called philosophers evolved. They were usually from rich families who were wealthy and had time to contemplate about anything they wanted to. Morals of what is good and bad, true or false, right or wrong were discussed in length. It was held that morals are knowable by inquiry and intuition. It was observed that our senses can deceive us. It was believed that we use reason to understand the world around us that we do not directly sense. The quest was to collect, analyze, and interpret information with the aim to understand it. My father was the doctor of the king of Macedonia. He was also doctor to many of the king's family and friends. They were all very influential and learned men and women from all walks of life. Among the group were men that made their livelihood advising the king on all matters. They called themselves philosophers or lovers of knowledge. They would spend most of their time talking, discussing, debating, and arguing about all the different things they could think of. My father was invited to attend, and he would spend many hours listening to them. I was with him from the time I was 3 years old. I was the only child at these meetings, and the philosophers cherished me being there. Whenever I was absent, they reminded my father to take me with him the next time. I got to know the philosophers like a family. When I was 10 years old, my parents suddenly died, and I was left an orphan. The king and his group of philosophers adopted me. I was 10 years old. The more I listened, the more I learned. I asked a lot of questions, and some of my questions caused very long discussions and debates. I impressed all of them so much that they started asking me questions, and they would listen to my explanations. With time, I started to discuss and debate with them. When I turned 18, I was sent to Athens to attend university there. I became so well respected that the king of Greece asked me to be his son's tutor. I claimed that knowledge must be sought, captured, and accumulated. I taught Alexander that knowledge is the ultimate power. I taught him to ride a horse when he was 13 years old. He ended up being a horse lover and had many horses that he was able to ride hands-free. He then taught his soldiers the art of horsemanship and used the horses to seek and conquer faraway lands. Under my tutelage, Alexander the Great achieved great things. He found knowledge from faraway civilizations and accumulated it in great libraries for all mankind to exploit. I claim that we can gain understanding by investigation and extrapolation of our observation by reason and logic. As an example, I concluded that the sun revolved around the earth by observing it during the day and extrapolating its movement during the night. By observing an apple and a leaf fall, I concluded that heavy objects fall faster than light objects. I was very curious and would try everything. I died at the age of 62 from eating berries that unfortunately tasted very good but proved to be very poisonous.